Welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Matt.
And I'm Sam.
Today we're looking at part 1 of an article called Make Your Moon Festival Green.
Make it green. Okay.
So get some green paint and just paint everything green?
Perfect. No, obviously that is not what this title means. Making your moon festival green, if you make something green in this way, it means to try to be more conscious of how it affects the earth and all of the living things, and is there pollution, is there trash, all of that kind of stuff. So trying to reduce those things, because what do you do on Moon Festival? Well, you usually barbecue and eat a ton of food, and that could make some trash, I would guess.
Yeah, I guess it does. Usually I have a barbecue and usually we'll buy a barbecue that you only use one time and throw it away after. And yeah, usually there's lots of food and it doesn't all get eaten.
Yeah, so that kind of makes sense. But I do still like this festival. This is something that I feel like I always kind of forget that it's coming because it's like right at the end of summer and I'm still kind of adjusting to the time because I'm usually back in America during the summer. And then like partway through September, it's like, oh my gosh, it's already the Moon Festival and now we have to prepare for this. And but usually we go back with family in Elan and we barbecue at this big open space in a kindergarten. And there's a lot of food, but also a lot of mosquitoes. That's another thing that I don't like of this time of year. If you're outside cooking, I always have so many mosquito bites.
Okay, well, hopefully the mosquitoes will be better this year.
Hopefully.
And hopefully we can make your Moon Festival more green and more friendly to the environment. And we're going to find out some ways you can do that in today's article.
Moon Festival is big in many places in Asia. People celebrate it with their family and friends. They eat good food, enjoy mooncakes, and look at the full moon. However, Moon Festival isn't very friendly to the environment. People make a lot of trash at this time. They can do things to stop that, though.
All right, so we are looking at part 1 of our article, Make Your Moon Festival Green. So again, as we said in the intro, this does not mean paint everything green, wear green. That's not what we mean here. We mean environmentally friendly, to try to cut down on waste and pollution and other things like that. So let's go ahead and get into the article. It says, Moon Festival is big in many places in Asia. So not just Taiwan, this is something that we see in other places in Asia as well.
And you might also hear it called Mid-Autumn Festival because that's kind of the other name for it because it comes in the middle of autumn or the middle of the fall. So continuing on, people celebrate it with their family and friends. Okay, so to celebrate something means to mark a special day, a special occasion, or a special event by having some sort of festivities or doing something special on that day. So in the case of, let's say, on Christmas, people celebrate by giving each other gifts and having a big meal with family. Whereas on Moon Festival, well, a lot of people celebrate by eating food or having a barbecue.
Yes, and that's what the next part of the article says. It says they eat good food, enjoy mooncakes, and look at the full moon. So again, this kind of whole point of this kind of festival is that this is when the moon is really big. I think it coincides with the harvest moon, I want to say, which is like around the time where people back a long time ago would be planting crops and things like that and knowing when in the cycle of the crops is all. Anyway, it's all kind of a little confusing. Now, all it matters for us is that we get to eat.
All right, let's go to Tina.
Hello, I'm Tina. 今天的主题是用环保点亮中秋夜。中秋节在亚洲许多地方都是盛大的节日，人们会与家人和朋友一同庆祝，品尝美食，享用月饼以及欣赏满月。我们来看看单字 celebrate 动词庆祝。Many people gather in the park to celebrate New Year's Eve together. 许多人聚集在公园里一起庆祝跨年夜。文法的部分刚刚提到了 look at 看着注视 look 这是一个不及物动词，后面常常加上 at 来接受词。比如说 The children stopped to look at the birds in the tree. 孩子们停下脚步，看着树上那些小鸟。接着我们回到课文当中。
All right, let's get back to the article. However, Moon Festival isn't very friendly to the environment.
Yes, and again, kind of starting off of when we talked about this harvest moon, this idea a long time ago would be when you were getting your crops and things. So it is very environmentally friendly at that time. But now when we're doing so much barbecue and have all these snacks and all this everything, well, the next part of the article tells us people make a lot of trash at this time. And I think that probably all of you out there can kind of imagine what do you do during this festival and how many stacks of food dishes and plates and things like that are all loaded up to be thrown away in the trash. So we have this word trash. This noun just means anything that is no longer useful, anything that you are wanting to get rid of, to throw away, that is going to go into like a landfill and just be put in a big trash bag and given to the trash truck. So anything that you've made in this time from all the pieces of wrapping paper, of all the food and all of that kind of stuff, that's all trash. Can't be recycled, can't be used again, just thrown away.
Continuing on, they can do things to stop that, though. Okay, so there's a word there which is though, and though is an adverb. And we add though to the end of a sentence, the meaning even if or in spite of something else. So what we're saying by that sentence, we're saying that even if people make a lot of trash around this time of year, they can still do things to stop that. So it means they can still do it even if the normal thing that happens is still happening.
Yes, and so in this case, there must be other ways to have less trash. They can work on this problem and hopefully fix it for the future so there's not quite as much trash and pollution and whatever else. All right, let's go to Tina really fast and we'll be right back.
然而，中秋节对环境不太友善，人们在这段期间会制造很多垃圾。不过，大家可以做一些事来阻止这种情况。我们来看一下刚刚课文里提到的单字 ：trash， 名词，垃圾。Please pick up your trash from the table before leaving. 离开前，请把桌上的垃圾拿走。Though， 副词，不过，然而。It was raining hard this morning. We still went out for a walk, though. 今天早上雨下得很大，不过我们还是出门去散步了。文法的部分刚刚提到了 A is friendly to B. A 对 B 友善。Friendly 是形容词，指的是友善的。比如说 This paper cup is friendly to the earth because it is easy to recycle. 这个纸杯对地球很友善，因为它很容易回收。接着我们回到课文当中。
Okay, so in this first part of the article, we have kind of talked about what is the problem. Well, the problem is that during this festival, a lot of trash is created. So let's go ahead and go to the second part of the article after this break and see what could we kind of do about that problem.
People in China often buy cheap lanterns for Moon Festival. They don't last and end up in the trash. Instead, people can buy good lanterns. They can use those for a long time.
All right, so back to the article. It says people in China often buy cheap lanterns for Moon Festival. So again, we've been talking about how during this time there might be a lot of trash or a lot of things that you don't really necessarily need to have or need to buy. And so if they're buying cheap lanterns every year, they probably don't survive the whole year. So probably they buy the lanterns and they're going to have to throw them away pretty quickly and have to buy more lanterns the next year. That definitely could add to the amount of trash that happens around this festival. So we have this word cheap, and cheap just means not very expensive. It didn't cost very much money to buy that thing. So a lot of people will see something and go, wow, this is really cheap. I want to buy it. But if it is cheap and poorly made, then you buy it and it might break really soon and then you might have to buy another one. So sometimes buying something cheaply means you actually have to buy it several times, and it might have been better to buy the more expensive thing in the beginning. For example, shoes. I feel like this happens a lot with shoes. You buy a nice pair of shoes, keep it for a long time. You buy cheap shoes, they break really fast and you have to buy more and more shoes.
Yeah, often the word cheap sort of means low quality.
Yeah.
And as opposed to, you could say inexpensive, which doesn't so much mean that it's bad quality.
Yes, it kind of has a negative feeling when you're attaching it to something like that.
All right, we had another word there, which is lantern. And lantern is a portable or hanging light source. So when we're talking about these lanterns in China, we're talking about traditional lanterns with paper walls, I think, surrounding, well, what at one point would have been fire in the middle, but now is probably a cheap light bulb or LED lights. And so, yeah, we have lanterns like that. You might also think of camping lanterns, which is like you can carry around by holding it like this, and it's got a, well, it's same, at one point had fire inside, but now it's often a light bulb. All right, getting back to the article, they don't last and end up in the trash. So that's these cheap lanterns, they don't last, and so you throw them away.
Next, we see an example of how to kind of fix this problem. So it says, instead, people can buy good lanterns. They can use those for a long time. So the better option would be to buy one that you can kind of use and maybe store somewhere and then bring it back out the next time that you need it, or the next time there's the festival, so that you don't have to keep buying them again and again, but also so you don't need to keep throwing them away again and again.
That's kind of good advice for anything you buy, I guess, is if you buy higher quality things, you'll have to buy them less often.
Yes.
All right, let's check in with Tina.
在中国，人们常会买廉价的中秋节灯笼，这些灯笼不耐用，最后会变成垃圾。相反的，人们可以购买品质较好的灯笼，这样就能使用很长一段时间。我们来看看单字 cheap 形容词便宜的。The food at the market is very cheap. 市场的食物非常便宜。Lantern 名词灯笼。Many people go to the park to see beautiful lanterns during the festival. 许多人在节日期间去公园看美丽的灯笼。文法的部分刚刚提到了 end up 结果是，最后变成怎么样？叙述某人事物最终到达的地点或成为的状态。举例来说 ，If you don't hurry, you will end up late for the train. 如果你不快一点，你最后会赶不上火车。接着我们回到课文当中。
Okay, so now we've learned a little bit about how you can make your Mid-Autumn Festival or Moon Festival more green, more environmentally friendly. And so I think I'm going to need to try out some of these steps this year, like, I'm going to buy a nice lantern.
Yes, or in my case, I probably won't buy a lantern at all because I'm not sure what I would do with it. If I got the fire from the barbecue, I think I'm okay. I don't think I need a lantern. But anyway, let's go ahead and review this article again. And tomorrow we will learn even more ways that you can kind of help turn this festival into a slightly more environmentally friendly festival.
Moon Festival is big in many places in Asia. People celebrate it with their family and friends. They eat good food, enjoy mooncakes, and look at the full moon. However, Moon Festival isn't very friendly to the environment. People make a lot of trash at this time. They can do things to stop that, though. People in China often buy cheap lanterns for Moon Festival. They don't last and end up in the trash. Instead, people can buy good lanterns. They can use those for a long time.
我们来复习一下这一课的重点单字跟文法。单字的部分 ：celebrate 动词庆祝 ，trash 名词垃圾 ，though 副词不过然而 ，cheap 形容词便宜的 ，lantern 名词灯笼。接着我们来看文法的部分 ，look at 看着注视 ，Philip likes to look at himself in the mirror。Philip 喜欢看着镜中的自己。A is friendly to B，A 对 B 友善。This bag is friendly to the planet and easy to carry。这个袋子对地球友善，也很容易携带。End up 结果是，最后变成。Gloria doesn't want to end up last in the race。Gloria 不想在比赛中以最后一名收场。以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，我们下一课再见喽，拜拜。
Oh no, we're gonna be late. Winnie, are you ready?
I'm coming.
Hurry up.
Okay, I'm here.
Now I have to tell them we're gonna be late.
Let's go.
That's what you're wearing?
That's what you're wearing? I am wearing a fancy outfit.
Yeah, but your patterns are clashing.
Clashing?
Yeah.
What, isn't it the more patterns you wear, the better? Because, you know, this is pretty, this is also pretty. Together, it's the perfect outfit.
Together, it's too much.
I'll go change. So today we are talking about the different types of patterns that are on different types of clothing, and that's what makes fashion really fun because we have all sorts of styles. This first one we're talking about is the solid type of garment. This means it's just one color. You're not going to get a mixture of many different colors. Whereas sometimes you will have a solid color, but on top of it will be a graphic design of some sort. It could be a drawing, it could be a photo printed on, and then sometimes they will screen print it onto the t-shirt, and that makes a graphic tee.
But what happens when you do have another clothing item, a garment that is also a solid color, but there's still a design on it? Well, this type of clothes, we can call it textured because we're trying to describe that the clothes also has a physical feel to it. It's not just totally smooth. You can feel that it has ridges. You can feel the different stitches, or the material itself can feel bumpy.
Or sometimes they fold it. Like pleated pattern. So actually it's not just like a textural physical component, it's also a visual one. That's really cool, and that's what makes clothes really fun.
Today we learned about different ways to describe the clothing or the garment that we wear, and it's very interesting because it's such a diverse world in the fashion world, right? There's all these different types of clothes you can wear, and it can really make your closet look more interesting.
Yes. Well, that is all we have for today. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and send us a DM or an email if there's something you want to say in English, but you just don't know how.
Kiwi later.